money's just a tool. And I do want to be careful because I know, as I already said, messy middle where you're short on time, you're short on money. We better be very deliberate, but we also want to make sure that when you look back as a 50-something-year-old, you don't have regrets that maybe you squandered some great opportunities not only to grow your money, but also to build awesome memories for you and your family.
Yeah, wealth or the accumulation of money, it should never be the main goal. It should always be a side effect of trying to achieve the goals that you have. And so often people in our 30s, especially if you're an achiever and you're a hard charger, you get caught up in, okay, I want to hit that $100,000 milestone. I want to hit that $1 million milestone. And while those things can be helpful and they can be valuable, they are not the goals. They are literally just mile markers on your journey to the goals that you have. So you want to make sure that in your 30s, you take a specific time to find the balance.
Yeah, and this is what I was alluding to earlier. I don't want you to have regrets when you get to be my age. I want you to bedazzle your basic life. And what I mean by that is I want you to look back on your 20s, I want you to look back on your 30s and say, yes, that was a life well lived as I balanced out not only growing my family, growing my 401k, but man, I made some great blossoming memories. But don't mishear me. I don't want you to think that that means that you can go run up and put a Disney vacation on your credit card and think that it's all going to turn out. I think that I'm just telling you, be very deliberate with there are things you can do without breaking the bank that still allow you to have incredible blossoming memories. I mean, a lot of this comes from, I even talk about it in Millionaire Mission, where I went to Italy when I was, in my late 20s, early 30s for a probably sixth of the price of what everybody else did.
Sure.
But yet I got to still do a lot of those key things in Venice and Florence and in Rome. It's just I did it in a bedazzled, basic way. I glittered up my basic pair of jeans instead of doing this thing like a tuxedo. I don't know if that works.
I'm just imagining you walking through Italy in glitter jeans. I think that sounds awesome. Another way that you can find your balance in your 30s is understand and know what it is that you value. So often we get caught in this cycle where we want to keep up with the Joneses. If driving the nicer, expensive, fancy car is not something that actually matters to you, don't waste your money throwing it at that type of goal. Make sure you understand what are the things I want to do? What are the memories I want to create? What are the things I ultimately want my money to do? And make sure the decisions you make align with that. They don't actually turn into distractions that pull you away from those things that you actually value.
And then we always say begin with the end in mind. And I love how these are all interconnected. And when you're in your 30s, you can't just go through life as a passive player. You do need to be taking control. And that's why I say make the memories of bedazzle your basic. Know what actually brings you happiness, because maybe you're not a car person, so you're okay with just buying the vehicle to get you from A to B. And I guess, of course, begin with the end in mind, because, Bo, you've already alluded to this earlier. I think a lot of people who are achievers or people who just, are good at things, you do what you think you're supposed to be doing. And we've come across this. We do a show called Making a Millionaire. And I think about the fact that when Luke and Hannah were buying rental property, but they quickly realized, oh my gosh, this is going to get in the way of us doing family planning.
Yep.
This is what happens with financial mutants. So begin with the end in mind so you don't run astray of your goals, your life, and having regrets at some point in the future.
Now, one thing I love is we're thinking about folks in the 30s. So often we talk about the messy middle. And when you say that to someone who is either in that season or has lived through that, there's this recognition, oh, yeah, that sounds like me. And while we can all agree that it is a relatable and familiar feeling being in the messy middle, the great news is that there's not one answer. There's not one solution on how to handle it well. And as you're going through this journey, you don't have to get every single decision absolutely perfect. Your journey may not look the exact same as your neighbor's journey, and that's okay.
Well, this is where I'll make a correlation that money and being a parent are very similar. Is that you're going to realize very quickly when you have kids that you don't have it all figured out. And it's kind of the same way with money. You don't have to. I mean, look, I have written an entire book of all the mistakes I've made and try to share so you don't make those mistakes for yourself. But I'm happily here to share also. It's exactly what the headline we put. You don't have to get it perfect. If you just line up enough good things, the power of money and the power of discipline is strong enough with compounding growth that it will do the heavy lift, that you can be very imperfect and still come out on the other end and be very happy with what you create.
And so what we want you to do is we want you to give yourself some grace. Take a deep breath and recognize, you know what, maybe even though I'm not where I want to be, or even maybe I'm not where I could be had I made different decisions, perhaps you're not actually behind. Did you know that according to Personal Capital right now, the average investor does not start investing until age 33? If you opened up a Roth in your 20s, if you started participating in your 401k, if you just started doing something, there is a really good chance that you are ahead of the curve already. And we know that when it comes to buying a home, the median first-time home buyer right now is 38-year-old. So before you arrive at the conclusion, I'm behind, I need to catch up, take a deep breath and give yourself some grace. Again, your journey does not have to look exactly like someone else's journey.
Well, I say this all the time, is that personal finance is definitely personal. You know, we all have our own fingerprints. We all have our own personal finance journey. And we've seen this on Making a Millionaire. We've actually had guests who have turned out to be extremely successful in the long term, but they didn't even start. And I think about the headline that's here. Are we already too late? The truth about $250,000 saved by
Dan
42.
And Sorsha. Awesome story.
Because here's the thing is that they didn't even start saving and investing until they started getting some traction with their income. That might resemble you. It doesn't. I'm just saying the part about being an active player in your own role of becoming the hero of your own story is taking control today. Don't let another day, don't procrastinate anymore. Do something today, because more than likely, especially if you're in your 30s, you still got lots of opportunity to grow this thing.
You have lots of opportunity. You need to recognize that there are a ton of mistruths that get applied to you at this stage. You got to be perfect. You got to be perfect. You got to be perfect. Well, another mistruth, and this is something that comes from a good intent. You know, we've designed the financial order of operations. Brian, you hold the thing up for me. It's a 9-step process telling you how you should make the next decision with your next dollar and how you progress through it. And so often folks think the financial order of operations is this straight line. Well, I'm in step 1, and then I go to step 2, and then I go to step 3, and then I go to step 4, so on and so forth. But in reality, when real life happens, the foo isn't actually a straight line. Yes, sometimes we're moving up and to the right, but then sometimes that unknown happens. Maybe the car breaks down, or maybe we have to pause because we want to have a family, or we want to buy our first home, or maybe there's a job loss change. Just because your financial order of operations is not in a straight line does not mean that you're doing something wrong. It just means that you're a real person that's living a real life.
Well, and I'm here to remind people, just like we have false narratives in our head that make you think that the financial order of operations is this orderly walk up and then life has a sense of humor, I want you to take a deep breath. I mean, look, your journey is going to be unique, and there's going to be good things that happen. There's going to be bad things that are going to happen. Don't be so hard on yourself, because I'm telling you, the good news is there is enough positive stuff working in your favor. If you'll just start doing small little decisions that are putting you in the right direction, it's going to be okay. So you don't have to, it's back to that whole perfection thing and everything else. You don't put so much pressure on yourself that you create anxiety. Just try to figure out if there's a small decision today that you can really make that is going to put yourself in better ground to have success in the future.